Hello there, YouTube. Charlie Brawley back at you with another video. Let's read right here. Warren Buffett. Stock portfolio took a $1.6 billion hit from Bank of America and Wells Fargo in a single day. This was done October 15th, 2020. You know what? I knew this guy was a fraud. I knew this guy didn't know what he was doing. Obviously, if you lost $1.6 billion in a single day, you don't know how to calculate risk well, right? Because here's another article right here, guys. Look at this. Warren Buffett loses $1 billion in 2 days after Kraft Heinz disappoints again. This was February 14th, 2020. Why hadn't this guy killed himself yet? Why hasn't he been talked about as being one of the worst investors in history to lose billions at a time? Why do we regard this man as one of the most successful investors in the history of investment when in a day, in 2 days, he's losing billions? Here it is. Just recently, he lost 1.6 billion. Why doesn't he kill himself? Why doesn't he quit? I'm going to tell you why he doesn't quit. I'm going to tell you why he doesn't kill himself. It's because he understands that everything changes. What goes down comes up. That's the reason why he's 80 billion plus in net worth. And he loses portions of his net worth as an investor. But if you ever study Warren Buffett, you know that he always talks about the index. Everything that goes down comes back up. Everything that has any kind of value, at least, it comes back up. All right. There's a way that he does control losses, too. Like when he goes down, he doesn't dump more money into the same thing that goes down. He actually decreases. Actually decreased on its own, but he doesn't go pumping more money. He allows time, unless the portfolio is just one that's bad, then he'll take it all the way out. But the key here, the reason I'm showing you this, guys, is that recently this is a lot of money, $1.6 billion in a single day. The reason I'm showing you this, guys, is because it reminds me of what we do as roulette players, but we do it on such a low level. And that's lose. We can take a hit, but we're not prepared to manage it as professionals. We are managing the game like players. And a player would quit. If you were invested into Warren Buffett's portfolio and this was happening, you'd probably think, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But why does he continue to do this, though? And he continues to make money. It's because everything's one big permutation. You have to understand that. You have to understand you have to understand the flow, the thresholds of the game that you're playing. It's a little easier for us, actually, but because it comes so fast and we don't understand the business, we make a lot of dumb choices. Case point. This is one of my students. He's one of my mentor students, guys. I'm going to show you this real quick, and then I'm going to be done here. I just wanted to bring this up to you. Justin, he's a fairly new mentor student. As you can see, this is October 1st. When he started off with me, he was doing really, really well. And he started off really hot, blew his bankroll, blew it. We're going to talk about why this man is not blowing his net worth. What keeps him from doing that? But in this case here, Justin is, I can talk now if you're free, blah, blah, blah. So we end up talking. After our discussion, this is what he ended up doing. He won 5 units in 15 minutes here. He won 7 units in 18 minutes of play here. He won another 8 units in 20 minutes of play there. There was another 5 units in 15 minutes of play here. And then the last text he sent me, you know what he says? I bust my account. Now, here's the question. Warren Buffett lost $1 billion on February 4th. Now, he's lost. If you've ever looked at the way that he invests money, he loses this kind of stuff all the time. This is nothing new. Okay, but I'm just trying to make a point here about why he understands the business of what he's doing. And that way, and because he understands the variables in the business, the up and down is not a big deal to him. He understands the flow. So he's okay with the losses because everything goes up and it goes down. He controls the losses going down, and then he obviously makes money when it goes up. Okay. But I want to show you this real quick. As I showed you here with Justin, when he said he bust his account, when you were up 25 units, right? You're up 25 units. If you were able to achieve that in 2 days, which is what he did here, there's never a reason to go chase losses. Imagine Warren Buffett lost this in a single day, and then that same day he put another $4 billion into the same portfolio that he lost 1.6 in the same day. Then he would be kind of stupid, because he's doing what we call gambling. You assess the loss. How did he lose? What did he lose from? What strategy did he lose from? And does he know enough to never allow this to happen again? Well, in his case, the way he calculates his success is not based on the loss. It's the long term. It's long term for him. Okay. So he doesn't go chasing losses. It's like, if you're a business owner and, you had 5 customers bring their products back at the store, but you chase them all 5 of them out in their car to force them to buy it back. What business owner does that? No one does it, because in business, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. So at this point, him losing $1.6 billion on October 15th, he lost $1 billion or so February earlier this year. Sure, he lost more than that over in this year. This is just what's in the articles that I'm reading to you. It's clear that he lost billions. Does that make him a bad investor? And why is it that he loses billions, but he still stays at the top ranking of investors, even though he could lose billions like that in a day? It's about management at this point now. So we know that he can lose, but how does he manage the losses? It's the same thing that I'm talking about with students. When you're up, you got to protect your up. You can protect your ups more than Warren Buffett ever thought about doing. You know why? Because if you are up, say, in this case with Justin, you're up 25 units. If you go down, say, 2 units, instead of using money as a way to rebound your money, your losses, use time. Reduce your minimum. Allow the smaller bets to maybe win 3 or 4 units to equal up what you've lost in units, and then you can regain your footing, start back at the original minimum. That's a way to control losses, because most losses in our game, they happen from a perspective of consistent losses, meaning consecutively losing. So if you know that you can achieve 25 units in 2 days, why would you chase 25 units down in 1 day? Does it make sense? So you don't have to chase losses the same way Warren Buffett is not going to chase this one. He's not chasing that one either. Why? Because the index of the market, it goes down, but it doesn't just stay down the same way with roulette. Like if you look at roulette, let me see if I can pull up. Let's see here, if it doesn't take me too long, just to show you an idea of what I mean by changes in the market. The marketplace for us is the roulette table, right? Every spin is a financial transaction. I'm going to be doing a video talking about the business of roulette soon. And I want you guys to stay tuned to that, because it's really huge, valuable lessons you can understand when you understand the business of it. Imagine being a professional sports player and you really don't know all the nuance of the business or the game of football. How successful do you think you'll be as a quarterback if you don't completely know the game in and out? Every nuance of it. Well, roulette is a business. It's a business because it's a financial transaction. If it's a financial transaction, if money's going in and out, it then becomes a business. Now, what you've got to decide and understand is what makes you win and what makes you lose. Well, do you understand the limitations of the game? For example, you have 4 blacks right here. Why doesn't this 4 black go for 100 straight times? Because the game has limitations. So if it doesn't do this, throughout the day, you right there alone know that you can overcome the game. The problem is you will lose because you're not going to be right every time, but you're going to go chase the losses. You're going to go chase those customers who didn't buy the product or who returned the product. You're going to chase them out the store to get the money back. And soon you're going to be out of business. All right. So this is a lot of times what happens. Like I just showed you with Justin, his ability to get up to 25 units, he blew it. Now we've had our conversations. He's good now, but this is just a classic example of the best of us we're not going to be winning all the time. Not even Warren Buffett wins all the time. He loses portions of his net worth when he loses. But what makes him stay in something? Why would even people follow a person who would lose $1 billion in a day? Because it's beyond the day. It's the cycle. It's the trend. It's not going to continue to do that. It's the reason why he's a billionaire. And the only thing I'm showing you guys with Roulette is your ability to do what Justin did. You can make units, but you got to manage the units. Don't chase your losses, but you have to stay consistent. One cool advantage that we have about Roulette. Look at this, 4 blacks. When's the next time 4 blacks come up? This is called opportunity right there. But do you have the gall to accept the wins? I just had a recent software student. He went up 300 units, but he finished at minus 200. Well, not 300 units, 300%, but he finished at minus 200. The goal is to take money. And I think what happens is when we go beyond what we need to, it's because we don't understand the business of roulette. I'm going to be doing a video talking about the business of roulette. When you understand the business of it, the psychological edge, the time, the speed versus strategy and plays. What's the difference between a strategy? What's the difference between a play? Why don't you quit when you lose? Let's say if you started a business and the first week, 2 weeks, you didn't have any sales, and the sales that you did have, they were returned. Do you fold the business? There's people who live in New York who pay $50,000 to $100,000 of rent for their business without a single guarantee of a sale. Why would they do that? Are they crazy? Or are they in position to make sales? So they're willing to pay that cost because of the exposure. What makes this game so difficult is the fact that you don't have to pay what a business or a broker would pay to get, like every spin is a financial transaction opportunity. It's a lead, a 50% lead. Most leads that you get in business don't have a 50-50 chance on them. Most of them have maybe about a 15%, but we pay thousands of dollars for leads. This is every single spin is a financial exchange opportunity, but without the high cost of the abilities to exchange as you would in business and investment. The problem is we don't understand the business. So we will take extra chances because we're too busy trying to be players and not professionals. A professional knows that you will not have, there will be weeks, like you're going to have a week sometimes where out of the 5 days, you may have 3 of those days where you don't achieve. But then you're going to have weeks where it goes way above it. The key in managing the losses is by understanding how much you can win and how little you should and how much you should not lose, meaning a threshold. If you're up 30 units, if you go down 2 units, use time as a weapon unless you have the money. But if you don't have the money, you have to use time as a weapon. Now, if you don't have the time, it doesn't matter anyway. But you're going to have time for something. I'm just suggesting that if you're going to move money, The game of roulette has a limited variable. The only thing that stops anyone from whooping the game is time. That's it. It's not even really strategy. The only thing what strategies do is help reduce time. But like Justin, like so many of us, when we really are, and not to put him on Front Street. Now, I'm not going to give out his last name, but this is just indicative of a lot of what we all do. I've done it. I've done it for months and years. I used to think and play that way because I didn't understand the game, the business. Now that I understand the business, the psychological part of the business, the fact that you don't, like in the real world, we say in roulette, in 30 seconds, you can make $1,000. In the real world, it might take you a week to make that same 1,000. When you make 1,000 in roulette in 30 seconds or a minute, there's something within you, the psychological disadvantage that many of us have being raised in environments where we have to work for a living, is thinking that we have to do more because we didn't work for that $1,000. Instead of looking at it from a perspective of percentage, we look at it from a perspective of we did it really, really quickly. Doesn't matter how fast you did it. You still have to respect the timing of the game and the understanding and the flow and the pattern of the game. If you don't know that, it's not going to matter anyway. It's not going to matter anyway. But that's the reason why I wanted to show you guys this, to show you the best of us have. This is a part of his net worth, folks. He's not a trillion, he's a billionaire. You're losing parts of your net worth in a day, 2 days. Here, 1 day. So I'm sure everyone's going to just curse this guy out and call him a didwit for not knowing how to calculate that. So why don't we do it? Because we understand that he's not a didwit. We understand that this will go up. Nothing's going to last forever. But what he's not going to do is chase it. He's not going to go chase these people. He's not going to go chasing after the losses and end up blowing his entire net worth or his bankroll. But you have to understand what those thresholds are. I have the bundle package, guys. I recreated the bundle package. I know it's not online. It's not on my page. But I have a whole new numbers game. I have new strategies, okay? When you get these strategies, I'm going to be doing a thorough training on the business of roulette. I want you guys to study that and understand the nuance and the business of this game. When you understand the business of the game, okay, you will your whole approach has to change, because you're going to have to go from a player to a professional. But you got to understand business. Honestly, if you've been in business, you understand the ups and the downs of business. The inabilities to calculate your risk is the number one reason why people fail, period. Is the reason why he lost 1.6 billion. But he's not going for, the reason why he's okay with this is because it's a long-term investment. It's long-term. It's not something that he's doing just for today. So he's not going to go chase the losses. He's going to be back. He's going to be back. So when the same thing in roulette, like if you know, because the reason I love this game is limited. For example, like here's 3 blacks. The next 3 blacks happens here. But how much opportunity happened between here before the next 3 black, for example? And what are the percentages of that, of you not being able to achieve? What are those percentages? And how can you reduce that risk further in a game that has limited variables? The new bundle package, along with this new training, will help you do that. So that if you have Warren Buffett days, you don't jump over a fence. But before you even get to this point, you have to understand the game in and out. And I think maybe one of my issues is that I don't think I really trained people to understand the game. I just maybe took it at the fact that most people understood business. Most people understood how money worked, how time works. But I'm here to take us from being players to being professionals. I have a few people I'm going to be interviewing. One guy is Ken. He does Forex. He's pretty good at Forex. He has his own real estate thing going on. And he recently came back because he wanted to get back into doing what we were doing because he understands with Forex, you can't calculate. Listen, 1.6 billion in a day, folks. He's not an idiot, but he can't calculate that. This is the reason he lost it. If he could calculate it, he wouldn't lose it. But I could tell you for sure the game of roulette has limited variables. It's a reason why it did not go 300 times red in a row. It did not go 300, 400 times black in a row. I can tell you that it's under 30. So you know that it's limited. Anytime you have a system that has limitations like that, the difference between you and everything you want from it is time. You got to understand that and know how to calculate that. Period. So for those who have the current bundle package, for those who are even, oh, by the way, people using the software, I'm opening up the software back so that you can play much longer. I have a guy right now, his name's Jan. He is really doing really well. Maybe I could do an interview with him so you could see how he even quit. By the way, Jan I have all of this in my email, guys. Like all of the stuff that I'm telling you, I keep track and record of it. Okay. Jan did well. He's the guy who paid me like $850 in a week, right? He did well, but then all of a sudden he went on a somewhat of a losing streak. Half of those losing streaks he didn't have to take, right? But he fell back and said, you know what? Let me reapproach this with a little bit more sensible approach. Over the last 2 days, he's up. Today he's at 6. Yesterday he was at 9, maybe 7. So right now, within the last 2 days, he's up 15 units. And he already knows that he'll never have to go down when you're up because he has a threshold. He knows what his thresholds are. But the software as it is today, it was only limited to 10 because I had such a big issue with people not taking the money. Even just as much as yesterday, I had a student who finished at a minus when they were up plus, but they stopped when they were down. They could not stop when they were up. What kind of behavior is that? Why do we have that behavior? The reason we have that behavior, we don't look at this as a business. We look at it as a game. We play it as a game and we get game-like results. Because you do not have to do that. You can play on the back, as I said, you can play on the backside of thresholds. Yes, you can. But you have to be able to know how to calculate and how to know how to do that. I'm going to be doing a series of training this week on just that. So I wanted to bring this guy up, Warren Buffett. Didn't really mean to be this long, but just to kind of encourage you guys to say, hey, listen, if he knew how to calculate risk, he wouldn't lose that. If he knew how to calculate risk, he wouldn't have lost that. He's not calculating risk from a perspective of a single day. It's long term for him. So it might take 2 years to make that 3 billion up. Okay. But he's not going to go chase it. He's not going to go chase it at all. I can tell you that. But that's what we do. Because it's not fast enough. We got to understand the business, the speed of it. And we got to juxtapose that from business to investment to here. Roulette is a financial exchange. There's no other way to look at that. So just like Justin, just like Jan, a lot of other people, when you're up, you got to maintain your up. We can do that better than Warren Buffett because we have a non-negotiable solid state 36 variables that do not change, period. Here's 4. Does it go 4 again? No. How many times does that happen? Those are called thresholds. I can tell you now, you're not going to continue to see 4. If that doesn't happen, you're a winner. So why are you losing? Because we're playing. We're playing the game. We are players. Let's become professionals. Just wanted to show you guys this and say, hey, man, it happens. It happens. It happens in a day, sometimes 2 or 3 days. But you can't quit. You have to be a smart business owner. You start a business. If you had a bad week, you don't fold your business. There's people who have had to survive in this whole pandemic for months without business. And then when they restart, it's going to be even tougher. Why don't they quit? Why don't they jump off bridges? Why don't every investor who lost billions, why don't they go kill themselves? Or go get a job? Why don't they do that? Because it's something that they understand about long-term growth. It happens. It goes up and it goes down. But you got to know they don't know their threshold. They just have money. And because they have money and they know that it goes up, they have to allow themselves time, years at times, to allow that to return. What we do is it happens very, very fast, and the permutations are very, very limited. Limited. You see what I mean? There's 3 blacks, 2 black. Well, this went 3 in a row, 2. Well, how many times does it go 3 in a row? What's the maximum? And what's the amount of time does that happen in? Do you know those things? And do you play according to that? Or are you just wanting a way to be a better player? And I'm really talking more so to people who have either the mentorship or the strategies. Those who are using the software, again, I've opened it up for those who are consistent. You have to be consistent. That's another thing. If you're not consistent, this business is not for you. No business is for you if you're not consistent. If you're coming into this business with just a little, because you're intending on gambling it until you grow it, you actually can do it, but you're going to have to rely on time. You're going to have to reduce your risk by being patient. When you're coming into a business with little funds, you're going to have, if you don't have the patience, you can't play every spin. It moves too quickly. With little funds, you're going to have to be patient. I'm going to be doing this training, guys, the business of roulette. Stay tuned on the channel. I'm going to be getting to all of that. I'm getting into all of it. It's going to help the team. It's going to help folks who have the current strategies as well as the newest bundle stuff that I have. And I'm going to break it down how you will be able to make money on all of it. The game is so freaking limited, it's stupid. Even with the software, like now that I've opened it up, it doesn't mean that you're going to just instantly rise to, 300, 400% right off the bat every time. But because we used to have it open up prior, people made more money. But the reason I closed it down to just 10 spins was because people won't take the money. And I was forcing people to make short-term decisions. Do you back out early or do you take the win early? Understanding, okay, I have to make a decision to take a loss here. So that's the reason I brought it to 10. And so now I think the biggest thing that we got to understand is the business, because even though you have the best strategy in the world, you're the best investor in the world, this still happens. This still happens. So if you're not willing to take the up and the down in investment, particularly in what we're doing, which has limited variables, I know you want to play it. You just want to just dog it. I get that. I get it. But I do have a handful of people who I'm working with closely who I'm forcing them to do this the right way, and they're doing it. Okay? But no matter how good you are, this is going to happen. You have to be willing to accept that and understand the game that you're playing and why you shouldn't chase it. Understand those thresholds. You don't have to chase them. But just like Justin, when you chase it, you end up blowing it all. He did that twice. Okay? All right, guys, man, I didn't really mean to be this long, but I just really actually want to encourage you guys, because I don't know if you've been watching the market. The way the world is working, You're going to have to get smarter, guys. You're going to have to get smart. I can't wait to do this interview with Ken. He's a really, really smart guy and a real estate investor, also a avid. He actually creates algorithms, and he is working with me. He was hunting me down because he understands these principles, the limited variable. He gets it. It's really that simple. So my objective, people, why don't you just do it for yourself? Because I can make more money if I have more people working with me. Period. That's all. That's the reason. It's not that I can't do it. Listen, man, I could sit here and down and pick off thresholds all day by myself. I could. But what happens if I could teach 10 people to do this consistently? What fool would I be not to do that? That's the reason why I'm still here after 3 and 4 years. But I do understand that we do need to understand the business. And so I'm going to be doing a presentation on that this week. So really stay tuned to that. The new bundle package is not on my site. So if you do want that, you can get it. Just send me an email. It's all new. Everything's new according to my most recent knowledge, right? But you need to decide whether you're going to be a player or a professional. And watch these next videos because they're going to teach you the business. I'm going deeply into the business of the game so that you can see the difference between being a professional and being a player. And then you can size your own self up at that point. But just know, I don't care how good you are. When you don't know how to calculate risk, this can happen. Even when you know how to calculate risk, you're going to take a loss. But people look at this guy and think the only thing he does is make money. No. He's patient, though. He understands the variables, and he understands you can't chase it. It's going to rise. It always has. It's just like in roulette. If the game is streaking black, do you think it's just going to continue that? And even if it continued it, if you didn't adjust toward that, who's the fool? So that's the whole point of understanding what thresholds are. And you can do, man, so much you can do with this. So anyway, guys, I'm going to be getting into a lot more teaching, a much more nuanced teaching, the stuff that beyond the strategy, beyond putting a chip down, how to manage money, how to manage time, understanding the timing of the game, understanding the limitations of the game, and why, because it has limitations, that you will always be able to win. But most people's problem, 99% of the time, is one, they don't understand the business. Two, they play way too frequent for the amount of money that they have. Right? It's like you only have 5 products, but you're in an area where there's 20 customers coming in at any given moment. You can't even, you don't even have the supply. So how in the world do you think that you come into the game, you play you take every opportunity to make a wager, but you have a low budget? You can't supply that over time because you're not going to win everything. So, and that's business stuff. That's understanding how business works. And a lot of us, I don't think, get that. So I'm going to be doing a lot more teaching, not to continue to belabor that point. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The software, people who are continuing or who want to use the software, I'm still currently open for that. So if you want to get in, that still works. I'm going to be doing an interview with Jan, the guy who's just really doing well with it. And again, the software is open. It's not limited to 10 anymore. But if you use this software and I see that you're going up in units and then you finish at a minus, then that's called a waste of time. In business, our objective is to take the money, is to take on new customers, not to run them out the store. Once you've got the sale, close the sale. That's it. But don't run them out of the store. Don't chase losses. especially when you know, like in Justin's case, you can make 25 units in 2 days. What do you need to chase for? And blow everything. Anyway, guys, all right, stay tuned for the training. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's good to be back. Still excited. And I'm so serious, man. I'm going to make a few of you guys very successful. I'm on my way with just a couple, but I realize there is a deep knowledge beyond strategy that we gotta get. We gotta understand why this man hadn't killed himself yet. Why did he lose all this money and he didn't jump off a bridge? And why is it that he continues to make more? This is this 1 billion in 2 days, another almost 2 billion in 1 day. Shouldn't he be regarded as the worst investor in history? But he's not. Because it's not about the day loss. It's about the long-term growth. And in long-term growth, you will experience losses. You don't have to experience what he does, because I don't think you lose this amount of money when you understand what the thresholds and the risk are. Here in Roulette, we have variables. They are 36. They never change. You don't have to be rich, poor, fat, whatever. It doesn't care. Why doesn't 5 blacks repeat? And if it's not repeating, okay, guys, I'm talking too much. Until the next time, permutationspro@gmail.com. Permutationspro@gmail.com. If you want new strategies, want the new bundle, I'll have that. But I do say, if you're going to be a player in it, don't waste time. If you're only here to play around, don't waste the time. Don't even buy it. Don't save your money. Save your money for playing. Just to have fun. But if you're serious about being a professional, watch these next videos and learn the business. Learn the timing. Learn what risk means. Money management means. Because this is the same process that this guy takes. Same thing. Except we're in an environment where the variables are much smaller and the opportunities are much faster. We just don't have to take them all. But if you do take them all, you have to know why you're taking them all. You didn't have to have enough bankroll to support it. If you have a business, a storefront that's open for 8 hours, but you only have money to keep the lights on for 3, I mean, come on. Just think about what we're doing. We have to. So that's the reason why I'm going to be going into that training. Permutationspro@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for your time and everything, man. We're going to continue to push this on. This is, to me, I'm not a fool, guys. I was a regional compliance director for the 3rd largest bank in the world, HSBC. I still have a magazine company, Life Lessons Magazine. We had 300 locations in New York. You can go on the website and look at that. We had 100 and so in DC and also in Atlanta. I walked away from that to do this. I'm no fool. I'm no fool. Okay? And I'm only expressing this because challenge it. Challenge it. All of my students, the threshold theories, 3 and under. Nothing stays the same, folks. The only thing we do with strategies, we figure out strategies. So I'll give you an example. Let me show you guys. There's one last thing. I'm going to show you kind of what I do. If it does show you. This is not really a good example, but this is just maybe somewhat of the breakdowns that I do with this game. You're probably wondering, what is all this plus minuses? What does all this stuff mean? I only go through this to break down the speed, because I look at these as financial opportunities. Each one of these is a financial opportunity. Now, and because I look at this from a perspective of patterns, how could I reduce my risk and increase or decrease the time when making the best wager? That's what those strategies are. Okay. But you got to understand the business and how that works. So I'm going to do a thorough training on this. Please stay tuned to the channel. Like and subscribe. I never really say that, but please do. I mean, if you like the content, If it makes sense to you, like it, share it with some people. I'm really interested in breaking records, doing to me, this is not impossible. Roulette would be impossible if the variables were not were unlimited. Like if there were like 100 and something. Okay, like for example, like with Baccarat, there are 4 or 5 shoes filled with how many cards? 52 or whatever the case is. Those are variables. Hate to break it to you, but that's what that is. Roulette is a hard 36. Hard. Okay? But it moves really quickly. It really does. And you have to understand what thresholds are. All right, guys, until the next time, permutationspro@gmail.com. Thanks for sticking around. Be talking to you guys soon.